Yeah, peace fam, you boy FONZi Neutral representing back.online.com. Join with Flash Angeles Flash Mode. We're going to be getting into some hip hop news and discussions. One of the biggest topics that we've seen closing this week, leading into this weekend, has been the reported reopening of Tupac's unsolved murder. Once again, it's in the spotlight as Nevada officials reportedly were said to have issued a search warrant in this week in connection with the killing and searched the property, which has been reported online. People are saying belonged to Keefe D, who has been vocal in a lot of interviews and stuff, speaking upon just some of the happenings that happened around that time. So definitely interesting, Pac's been in the news this year for 50 years of hip hop, getting his start on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And this is one of been one of the biggest murders that has been in the hip hop community left unsolved. Now we're hearing this with Keefe D. Some saying 27 years later, some saying it's too late. I mean, what do you think of this?
I mean, yeah, day late and a dollar short. You know, um, the streets gonna tell it all. The streets know before everybody else know. One of my partners fuck with Keefe D out there in Vegas. Um, I feel a lot of different ways about it because um, the people who should be in jail are not in jail, and it isn't Keefe D. Um, but at the same time, in normal situations, if this wasn't a Tupac um, case that's big, normally when people are in the car to go do a drive by, if the if even if the person is not pointing a pistol or doing any shots, if you just in the car, then you are an accessory to murder. Is what I remember. Is what I recall. Um, a lot of people say that they putting a snitch jacket on Keefe D when um, if anybody else was in Keefe D's situation, they would have done the same thing. There's no repercussions behind it because his nephew is dead, Zip is dead, and the other dude is dead. He's the only one. So, um, you know, I would write a book as he did. I would do interviews. I would be more careful about what I was saying. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, Keefe D was about to be a rapper Neathy. That's what he was about to be. It was about to be a rap for him. You know what I'm saying? Because what he got caught with. But the proposal that they came with, you know, uh, they wanted to see, they wanted to solve that case because it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. You know, the Las Vegas police, they wasn't on the case. They wasn't trying to solve the case, and it showed. You know what I'm saying? If Britney Spears got killed, or John Cougar Mellencamp, or some shit like that got killed, they would know who did it the first night. They got cameras. They did the full extent. But as Suge and Tupac was in Vegas, because we used to be in Vegas, and when Suge and Pac would be in Vegas, it was cool. But the Las Vegas police, they didn't really like all that. They didn't really like Pac and Suge riding around in 10-car convoys and all that type of thing. They had just got Vegas back because for those who go to Vegas, I've been going to Vegas for years, and so Vegas was black for a minute. Vegas started getting real hood and getting black. They had strip hop. They had Shaq had a club there when you first come. Utopia, Crown, anything black in Vegas, the clubs it's grand open and grand closed and shut down. You know what I'm saying? And so I just feel like um, I don't know who sent that on Keefe D, but they sent it, and it's just like a bad taste in their mouth for the fact the biggest nigga in the world gets killed in Vegas on their turf, on their watch, and they didn't do nothing about it. And it's a dude who that was in the car, and he is living in Vegas right under their nose. It just make them look like like Three Stooges of police, policing, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, we've heard Keefe D on numerous interviews, namely on the Art of Dialogues channel. You mentioned this book, even though some people have some discrepancies with whether he wrote the book or not, because they do feel as though maybe he's not that literate. And just in the context of some things he said in some interviews have been like it kind of contradicts some stuff that was said in the book. But I haven't read the book myself. I've seen him on the interviews. I've heard the story. Obviously, everybody's well heard about Orlando Anderson and all that sort of aspect of it. Tupac's biological father, Billy Garland, recently chimed in on his social media, also saying that, what's the point of this? And sort of 27 years, is it too little, too late? And he feels that, there's probably more to the story than actually meets the eye. I mean, what do you think about the remarks made by Billy Garland?
First of all, Tupac. When you look at Billy Garland, you can just look at and just see if Tupac would have lived. That's what he'd have looked like. He's dead. He's dead on his father. Um, as far as Tupac, I'm Tupac affiliated. The Laws is my homie. Shout out to Mutar and Noble, Edie, Castro, even Stormy, all the rest of them. Um, we're older now. When that shit happened, it's nothing that you could have told us that Pac did wrong. Even to this day, you say too many bad things about Pac, or it's looking like you trying to talk down about Pac. They about to start attacking. It's like Beyonce had a beehive to beat the bees and shit. Like Tupac, people are forever. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about this man, and it's almost 30 years after he's been killed. But I feel different that I felt at first when it happened. I feel totally different about it now that I'm older and I'm in my 40s. I feel different about it because um, I've been around Pac and I've seen Pac, and it's like at the end of the day, it make you shake your head because he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that. That wasn't his business. His business wasn't supposed to go over there and put his hands on. That just goes to show you in life. You know, all this shit is wrote out before we even know it's wrote out. We're just playing the parts of it. Our life is already planned out. All the stuff that we're gonna do, all the stuff that we're doing, we just don't see it yet. And the fact of he put his hands on a reputable. Now look at Baby Lane. Boom. Anybody else could have put their hands on him, and it wouldn't be as traumatic as you let Tupac. You talking about the rapper? You actor nigga. You got bombed on by Tupac. It had to be done. It had to be done, especially for his reputation and him living up to his reputation. And he was a reputable. And he was a real one. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact of Pac doing that, he didn't really realize what he had done. Walking through the casino, everybody following him. I don't know. I just feel funny about it. I feel like if that was me and I got into it and fighting in the churches, in the church house where the money is being made in Vegas, and I get into an altercation like that, I would go back to the hotel. I would be going right back to the hotel, as they say. They went to the liquor store and was riding around looking for him. Tupac hanging out the car like they on the Rose Parade. You know what I'm saying? He like, there you go, right there. So it was like, I don't know, man. It was like, I'm not saying that it was meant to be, but it just seems like it was just too, you know what I'm saying? And nobody couldn't grab Pac before he took off to go, you know. So I just feel like Pac it got in over his head. You know what I'm saying? And was claiming Mob. That's why, I felt some kind of way at first about Mob James when Mob James was like, Tupac won from the mob and boom, 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 and da 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 da. And at first I felt some kind of way about it because his tone, you know what I'm saying? But on some real shit, speaking from a real banger, that he looked like, I don't care if you Tupac or not. Do you know what we had to go through to get put on the set? Do you realize we losing homies every day? It's a repetitious thing every day. Somebody we get theirs, they get ours. You feel me? So for Tupac to get on there and claim it Mob, To keep it 100, I didn't even know about the mob high rules when all that shit was out. I thought MOB was money over bitches, to keep it 100. But as you get deeper and you find out what really was going on, he wanted to be from the mob. You know what I'm saying? And put your hands on their rival enemy. So it was like there was nothing they could do to stop it. It was like it was bound to happen. You know, rest in peace to Tupac and and his family and all of that. It's just like a pain in your heart to a person that you love and they gone and then all of a sudden they get a star. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like opening up the wound, even though it's a good thing, it opens up the wound, you know, if you really miss him. It's just terrible, man. You know, at the end of the day, I don't blame Keefe D because he did what he did to get out of jail. You know what I'm saying? Um, but he's under the scope right now.
I mean, we've had a lot of different conspiracies and different theorizing over the years, just when it comes to the murder of Tupac Shakur, and even to a degree, Biggie Smalls and stuff as well. Obviously, Keefe D's name has been out there with himself speaking on it. People feel as though, it sounds so coincidental, as you said, like, just what's the likelihood of, I guess, those guys being there and those guys just happening to be, a rival crew to those guys, and,
Diddy
what
Diddy should be in jail though.
the
Diddy
alleged
should be in jail.
this
Real
chain. And
shit.
yeah, there was just some talks even about Diddy's name being involved, and they say there was some alleged dealings with Diddy and these guys Keefe D and stuff as well. I mean, in terms of like what's happened, I mean, people can have their, I guess, opinion on looking at it. A lot of people say, oh, Pac shouldn't have hit him, or some say, well, it was just his time to go and he was just representing as he knew. But if we look at it and say, okay, it's happened now, Keefe D's been vocal and spoken about it and said, okay, well, he had a part to play. People say, shouldn't that be something then that's like evidence in some sense? Or if they're saying, well, I guess, if he did some kind of dealings or whatever. I mean, Reggie Wright did actually speak on it in the past where he said, he feels that he will be brought to account like legally for some of this stuff, even though it's years later. But I mean, him being so vocal about it, speaking about it, and saying, some of the events and what happened, as you said, if that was a regular person, it would be usually they call it like joint enterprise or something, and or accessory as well.
Right. You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like people got to stay out of it because it's not them that had a record talked about them. You know what I'm saying? Like Diddy. If you was if you was Diddy, you know what I'm saying? And somebody have somebody portraying you, and then have a fake Biggie and a fake Puffy, and tell Biggie that's why I fucked your bitch, you fat. But you know what I mean? So people can't take that if they can't stomach that. You know, and so Pac was rubbing people the wrong way. You know, for a person that when you meet him, he be so many different ways. He be cool one minute, he be on some cool shit, some eloquent. You know, like I said, you really don't you really don't get you really don't get too many artists that make you feel a certain way and touch your emotions on one record. You understand? But Tupac, he'll make you love your mama, make you want to embrace your mama and get back with your mama if you and your mama at odds. And then all of a sudden he'll make you ride on a bitch ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? He'll make you ride on the very next song. You know what I'm saying? Then he go on some political, you know what I'm saying? That's black people need to get together and white man's world and all that type of stuff. So, you know, we lost a great, we lost a great. And we was talking about Reggie Wright earlier. Big up to, shout out to Reggie Wright. I spoke to Reggie the other day. You know what I mean? Big up to Reggie Wright in this podcast over there. And even bomb first and all that. I don't know, man. It's hard to say about a person that has so much potential, and but it's gone and been gone. It's so fake, And I was looking at Keefe D's interview. I was laughing like because I tell my homies all the time from the East Coast. I'll be like, man, it's very LA-ish to niggas. You'll get into it with some niggas and niggas will kill you and then have your CD and bump your CD riding off. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's very LA. He was like, that used to be my song by Tupac. Like, and then be in the car with him to smoking. You know what I'm saying? That's very LA-ish.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean, when we look at just I guess some of the issues and things that happen in the community, people do look at gang violence and obviously just the mentality I guess of a lot of people. We would like to think obviously like, Keefe D and those guys when they were younger, people are involved in certain things or they might do things when they're younger, but you would like to hope that, there's an age of maturity that maybe comes into play where you can look back and see things differently. I think that's a lot of the fans probably issue because they feel as though he'd be braggadocious in a lot of regards to some of the stuff that's happened as opposed to, showing a sign of either maturity or just like he's dealt with stuff in a different kind of way or, looked at stuff differently. But, it's going to be quite an interesting one because, as you said, with the legal situation now, I believe there isn't like a statute of limitations and stuff on just these kind of crimes. So it could be something that they could try and push. We don't know about evidence or anything like that. If it's anything they could realistically form a trial or anything around it. But as of how things stand, no charges have been pressed or anything like that, or any arrests made. But the world's been reacting to them just opening back up the case. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out.
Yeah, they speaking about a person that I seen Pac one time. They was at the Brotherhood Crusade, and I remember Pac saying one time he was like, "I sold 6 million, Dog Pound sold 3 million, Snoop sold 4 million. Out of all these millions of people that's buying our records, we should be able to make some form of political change." And it's like it made so much sense. He was such a threat, you know. Ain't no telling what was in store for Tupac if Tupac would have been alive still. Um, I think that he would have. They didn't really even give him a really a good chance to even mature enough in the game. But he said he wasn't going to live long, and that's just that type of stardom. Because I remember seeing Tupac one time, and it was amazing. Like he was, it was like 30 women around him. You can barely even see him because he was short, and they was just all in tune in what he was saying. Like we would be in the club, and Tupac would come into the club, um, and it's other niggas there that got money. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is balling in the club, so motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But on my mom, just keeping it 100. When he would come into the club, the whole club would shift. Like whoever you thought you was, um, he'll let you know that it wasn't that. Like he can, girls who thought, like, you got the regular groupies, and then you got the girls like, I don't care who you are, and da da da. You know what I'm saying? Da, 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 they be real on their own shit. They even be look at who in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's hard to have that type of stardom in the rap world. This ain't like the jazz or blues. You like Braff and Marcellus or somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, we in the rap world. So this dude, girls wanted to be with him, and the dudes wanted to be him. You know what I'm saying? And if you couldn't be him, you was on some hate shit. You know what I'm saying? And it was just that's I'm just gonna call it like I see it. Like I don't really even see I don't even really see no other really artists like that that had that type of, what I'm saying, charisma. And there's other rappers out there, don't get me wrong. But when Pac came into the saying. So that's the reason why this shit is so big. It's on Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, CNN, CSBN. It's on all the channels because of the fact of, this was a great, and he lost his life senselessly.
Yeah, man, we definitely want to say rest in peace to Tupac. Also, rest in peace.
Two's in the air.
Rest in peace to Dr. Matulu Shakur. He passed away this year. Also, hopefully, we see some resolution brought to the family and stuff just with the case. And,
Shout out to Mo Preem, and
yep.
and his family. We was just talking about that too. Remember, Franz, we was talking about it. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. They let him out. I was watching what's the FBI stories or whatever, and not even like looking up him, and they had the story on Matulu Shakur when all that unfolded and all of that. They showed everything their version. But that's crazy. At least they let him out and for Mo Preem to see him. you know, but they let him out because they figured like he wasn't strong anymore and he was sick, so they let him out. That's whack. You know what I mean? But still, it's still a blessing because he got to see his father. But rest in peace to Dr. Matula Shakur.
No doubt, man. We know how those folks do. And peace to Set, as you said, Mopri, the rest of the family. You know, hopefully, you know, Athena's passed now, Matula's passed. You know, Parker's case. You know, he's still got other surviving family members and stuff, which I'm sure they
His
would.
sister out there in Atlanta. Shout out to her.
They'll definitely be happy to hear if there's some resolution. So we're gonna wind down on this one, guys. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, shouts out to Mixer holding it down about the online.com with the reviews, news, so on and so forth. Definitely give us a shout, like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff.
Death Row.
Mew, what you said? Dad, Mew, what you said? Dad, Mew, what you said? We cruising, we ruling, hottest of the hot, fresh with the drop. About that music group, we got it locked. FONZi Neutron, floss with the mold. Already know we the hottest across the globe. Dad.